SELTERM sent me out those catalog as well as heat shrink tubing for a review. They have lugs and various wire size as well as various stud size. In addition, they also have lugs that come in 90 degrees. They sent me two sets of lugs. Both are for 2 AWG wire. One is for 1/4 of an inch stud. The other one is for 5/8 of an inch stud. In some situation, both end of the stud can be different. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video, where the stud and the inverter is slightly smaller than the stud where I'm going to install it to the DC breaker. The stud in the inverter is 5/8 of an inch and the stud in the DC breaker is 1/4 of an inch. I already installed one lug. Now I'm going to show you what step I'm going to take to install the other one. This is what the heat shrink tubing looks like. You will need a heat gun to install them. First, I align the stud with the wire, then I mark how much insulation I will be removing. I will be using back cutter to remove the insulation, but there are battery cable stripper available to do this job. I used this method before and I never had any issues. First, I go around where I make the mark. This is a pretty thick insulation, so I went around twice. I make sure not to cut the insulation all the way through. Next, I make a cut diagonally. In my experience, I find this is the best way to do it when using a utility knife. It also makes it a lot easier to remove the insulation once you're done. Here's a closer look of what I'm doing. Next, I follow by removing the insulation of the battery wire. Notice when I'm pulling the insulation, I did not cut it all the way through. If I was having a hard time pulling off the insulation, I would just cut it a little more. Once I was done removing the insulation, I did a little cleaning with the utility knife. I follow by testing the lug, making sure the wire go all the way at the top. If you're touching the insulation and the wire does not go all the way in, you might have to remove some more insulation. In your application, before you crimp your lug, you might want to set it to the right orientation, like I'm doing right here. I'm marking it so when I crimp it, it's aligned properly. This is the crimping tool that I will be using. Just make sure the crimping tool that you will be using have teeth that match your wire size. Having a second set of hand will make this a lot easier. Make sure you align it properly and push the lug all the way in before crimping. Because the crimping tool does not cover a large surface, I usually crimp it in two different places. I usually crimp the bottom area of the lug first. Once that is done, I move to the upper area of the lug. This is what it looks like after crimping. I was doing some tug tests to make sure it wasn't coming out. Now it's time to install heat shrink tubing. This is how far down I usually put it before applying heat. It will look something like this once you're done, with clear glue coming at either end. Overall, I really like SELTERM lug and heat shrink tubing. I can tell that they are made of high quality material. If you are interested in picking out those products or product for other wire sizes, I will leave link in the description below. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If you like this video, you might enjoy the recommended videos. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. See you in the next video.